welcome back to Devils United for the last group stage predictions, Group D for Euro 2022, as it is starting next week. I've got Chloe and Andy with me. Andy, how are you?
Tired, but good, ready to go. Looking forward to it. Chloe's looking to give me that confident face again, which is always interesting. Maybe she's got some sort of like secret knowledge of Iceland, but I suppose we'll find out, won't we?
Chloe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Tired from work, but I'll be fine.
Yeah, me too. I'm also tired from work. We've got the Euros though, and we've got an interesting first game, which I will go with. And that is going to be, first of all, Belgium versus Iceland. Belgium and Iceland have actually never played against each other, so this is their first meeting. So this is going to be an interesting one. And I'll start with you, Andy, on what you think the score is going to be for you.
Well, as an expert on the Icelandic women's team, no, I haven't got a clue, to be honest. It's funny, obviously, that you start with me because I'm just trying to bring up you, or maybe you could actually. Have you got the recent results of both teams? Because I know they're not played.
I sure do have the recent results. I will go first in terms of Belgium. They haven't really had a good run. Belgium have had a defeat against England 3-0. A win 4-1 against Northern Ireland, but Northern Ireland had a red card, so could that have been different? They've had also a loss against Austria, but a 6-1 win against Luxembourg. Not very consistent.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just trying to bring up my usual cheat sheet, which is the one that really should sponsor us, which is Panini Sticker Book as well. I mean, Group D. I think to be honest, you can't look past the. 3-0. You look at the fact that Switzerland's just fallen to England 4-0. Obviously they've beaten Northern Ireland 4-1. I'm just looking at some of their players now. Obviously, some ones in Belgium, Club Brugge, as well. I've got a couple of cheeky one here from Reading, Justin Valhanvermaid.
Yeah, they've got one from Leon as well.
Yeah,
a couple of one attached as well. It kind of looks like a sort of middle of the road, similar to Switzerland, probably in relation to level of the team. And then, as if by magic, looking at Iceland, Bayern Munich players, Orlando Pride. Well, if anyone's left,
Wolfsburg there as well. Bayern Munich,
West Ham,
AC Milan, West Ham. Jesus God, don't tell Skinner he'll sign her. Has she ever been to Birmingham? That's kind of the requirement.
She needs to be in Birmingham first.
Lyonnaise. Has she moved? That Sandra born, the Lyonnaise Icelandic one, Chloe.
I think she is moving. I don't know where though.
I think looking at it, just based on the level of the teams, I think that possibly player to player, Belgium have a higher level than Iceland. Just bring up Iceland.
I was going to ask you, do you want to see Iceland's recent results as well? So I'll get Iceland's recent results now as well. They were 5-0 against Belarus. 1-0 against Czech Republic as well. And then looking a little bit further up, they have had a defeat 5-0 against the United States. I'm just trying to scroll up, but I can't scroll up.
For me, it looks
they've had a 2-0 loss against the Netherlands as well. 4-0 win against Czech Republic. 4-0 win against Cyprus. 1-0 win against New Zealand as well. So they're a bit like, as you would call, Reading. A bit inconsistent. Like, they've got some good games in them, but they've got some bad games in them.
To be honest, I'd be a bit harsher than that. I think they remind me of Leicester, to be honest. They sound quite weak compared to Belgium. I would say Belgium have played a higher level of teams and looking at this slightly more often. And apart from the random 1-0 win against New Zealand, it maybe looks like it might be quite a strong game against Belgium, for Belgium. It is the first game of the tournament for them, obviously. See, I don't know enough about Belgium to defend. 3-0 Belgium.
interesting.
Possibly could have been more, but I'm trying to turn over a slight new leaf and be slightly less dramatic. Because I remember some of my earlier prescriptions like, oh, let's look what you said. Oh yeah, 8-0 Somerset. Oh right, okay, it was actually 1. Oops, I don't think that's going to happen in the future.
Chloe, what are you going for prediction wise?
So, like we've already said, Belgium, Iceland haven't played against each other, so it'll be good to see how they play against each other. Because when we've done the last couple of weeks, all teams have played each other at least once. So we know that we've been able to look at how they've played and what the teams were like. But this is going to be new for both teams and both sets of fans and all the fans that are going to the games. So for me, I think the standout player for Belgium is Tessa Wollart, who plays for Anderlecht in Belgium and also used to play for City in the WSL. So a few players will actually know what she's like in terms of how she plays. So I think she's a great player. And also Janice Cayman, who is a player for Lyon. She's a forward, so I don't think we've seen much of her play for Lyon, but she is a good player, and she has come on in the recent. I think she has come on as a substitute. So for me, I think them two are the standout players. And then I think for Iceland, I think we already mentioned Sarah, or Zara, as people say, in Iceland, who also plays for Lyon. So that'll be good to see Sarah and Janice against each other. And obviously Sarah's captain for Iceland, so it'll be good to see how she plays. It'll be interesting as well. And obviously Dagner, who plays for West Ham, she's a midfielder and she has got that experience of the WSL and playing abroad. So for me, there's 2 players in each team that are good. But for me, I think Belgium's got a stronger defence in terms of how they play, and so I'm going to go with a 3-1 Iceland, a 3-1 Belgium.
3-1 to Belgium. Okay, with me, I've been thinking completely different to what yous have been thinking. I've been looking at Belgium's results. I've been looking at Iceland's results, and I've been thinking at some of these Belgian games, like, they didn't look convincing at all for me. I know it was obviously against us and it's a strong opponent, but I think that they could be still doing a lot better. Whereas with Iceland, despite, of course, they've had some slippery games, they've had some tough opponents of the USA as well. So for me, I actually think Iceland is going to nick it. I really do.
Ooh.
And I actually think that Iceland is going to be the dark horses in this tournament. I'm obviously going to go to the tables a bit later on, but I think they are going to be a very unpredictable team into this tournament in particular, because I think they've got a strongish. They've got a toughish group with Italy and France both being in there, but Belgium just don't really strike that team for me, where I feel like they're gonna get too much out of this group, if you want me to be honest. And looking at how they've played in the friendlies, I don't feel overly convinced by them. So
are you gonna be Scholl doing the Icelandic?
Maybe I'm just turning into a bit of an Iceland fan, considering I'm watching 2 of the games. I'm watching a game of theirs.
Or maybe you've got a new sponsor to announce. Some sort of Icelandic beer or something like that.
But I've gone for a 1-0 for Iceland. So before we go on to the next game, we'll go through a couple of the comments. Hi there to my queen. I hope you are well. Hey there to Vincent. Iceland women, is that women that work in Iceland? I don't know.
It's a joke from the 1970s, basically. It's play on words, but nice to see you again, Vincent.
Rich from Eagle Eye Football. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the tournament as well. I hope you will. Rich is actually going to a couple of the games. He's going to one, I remember him saying, Germany versus Spain, which you are going to as well.
We are.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be. I don't know how I'm getting back, but we're going to be there. So I don't know how I get back to our hotel. Well, that's another story.
Hey there, Jordan. I hope you're well. Richard said France will top the group, and I'm saying Belgium is dark horses for second. Interesting. That is interesting.
Well, yeah, we'll get into it. I think France is nailed down as a group winner, but I think the second one could be definitely up for debate.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Rather. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Hey there to Andrew up the Lionesses. Ravia said, "Lol, Leicester, that is harsh."
Hey, relegation. It'll be the relegation winners in 2023, won't it? They'll be down again next season.
Yeah. Hey there to Jack. I hope you're well. A Liverpool fan, so we'll be able to see Liverpool next season. I can't wait. Hey there to Nippon. I hope you are well. I am seeing Italy versus Iceland in my game.
You said you've seen Iceland twice, or just once?
Is Iceland the one we're going to as well? Or
No, we're doing France, Belgium.
Right, that was it. I keep getting it mixed up.
Italy, Belgium, Italy, Iceland again. Sorry, Italy, Belgium.
I think I must have Iceland in the mind.
That's a funny thing. We're like the Belgian people because me and Chloe are seeing Belgium twice out of 3 possible options for the group stage.
Not too bad at all. Not too bad. It's good to see some different teams might be able to scout some for United.
Yeah. Are you cheap? Oh, you wear blue. Maybe Skinner might think it might be Birmingham. Then he might look at you. Might be better.
Ravia said Iceland a low-key decent team. To be honest, they're not bad, but I just think they're inconsistent, to be honest. 1-0 Nippon has gone for. So we're going to the next game, which is France versus Italy, which is going to be probably one of the standout games in this group. And I'll go with you, Chloe, and what you think the score is going to be for you.
This game.
I think we're both looking at each other because Chloe's never forgiven me that we're not going to get to go to this one. So I'm just going to hide the image at the bottom of the screen. That's better, right? Go on, continue. I'm only joking.
Well, can you get the previous games up for these?
Yep. Yep. And they've only ever played once against each other, actually.
Oh, actually. But I think these are the strongest teams in the group.
They've only ever played once, and it was 1-1.
That's interesting because when was it?
2018.
2018. So that's very interesting that they've only played once, and it was in 2018, and they've not played since.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way France has changed so much because in that match you'd have had the likes of Le Sommer and Henry and Wendy Renard, who obviously she is one of the Lyon players that has been selected. So I know there's been rumours going around that the manager is against Lyon, but if she was against Lyon, why would she pick Wendy Renard?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them. It's tough to hear hear the rumours and her not see the likes of Henry and Le Sommer be picked. For me, I think them two deserve to be picked, especially after the Champions League final against Barca, and for them not to be, there has to be something going on. And then in Italy, I think the Italy league's got so much better in recent years. Juventus, Roma, AC Milan are your 3 top teams, and obviously your Fiorentina as well. They 4 top teams in Italy. And you've got the likes of Christina Guerrero, who for me, she's a standout forward. She's a player who knows the game, who's played for years. She made a debut in 2013, so she's played nearly 10 years for the team. So for me, she's going to be one of the standouts as well as Valentina, another forward. So this is going to be a top game. This is going to be definitely probably the best game in Group D for me. Mm-hmm. And I think both teams have got great forwards, great midfields. They've got the best. Like for me, you could pick one to go in each team. Like you can make a starting 11 out of both teams for me if we had to mix it up. But I think with France having the best defence in the likes of Wendy Renard and the height of her as well, and then having the forwards of Kato from PSG, who for me she's definitely a player that obviously we know she's waiting to sign a contract at PSG or at least leave PSG, and I think whoever gets her if she does leave PSG has got a great player, an outstanding player. And for Italy, I don't think we know much about them because I don't think many Italians have actually come over to WSL and played for any of the teams. So this is going to be a tough game, and I don't think I've done many draws neither. So I'm actually going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Interesting. What about you, Andy?
It's funny, isn't it? Chloe's right with Italy. Developed quite a lot since 2018. Obviously, they were linked a lot with Jackie Groenen. Still, Juventus is getting a lot stronger, but their league is only full time from next year. So that France is still a stronger league. I can't see past Allez le Bleu, as they say, Allez le Bleu, the French. But I forget what her name is. Chloe will know. The coach of France has shot herself in the foot by not taking Henri from
Agreed.
based on some utter rubbish, and maybe Jorge Vilda of Spain has said hold my beer by not taking Jenny Hermoso. It's just weird how two of the strongest teams in the tournament seem to have blown the legs off each other before the ball has even been kicked. And as a side point, that's why I love Serena Wegman, because she's ignored all the bullshit when it comes to playing players because they've always been there, kind of thing. So I love the fact we've got a much better setup for England. And that's why I think we're one of the favourites. I'm looking forward to seeing Italy. As I keep saying to Chloe offline as well as on here, I really wish I could watch it live. I like Italy. France I never really connected with, but then the last couple of after the Champions League final, I watched the game against PSG and the final game of the season because it was the last game of the Women's League, really. And actually, I started to follow Leon a little bit. I was like, okay, I'll try and watch some of this next season. And I'd like to see a little bit more about Italy. But a couple of things I've seen on Italy on Atta Sports, it's basically a park. You kind of expect someone walking their dog behind them. They are a few stages behind, certainly France and the WSL. That said, as Chloe said, in 2018 they kept it as 1-1, and they were a lot further behind then. 2-2. I don't know enough about their attack, to be honest, about Italy's attack, about whether or not they could keep it going, to that level for that long. Again, it's all domestic. Fiorentina, Juventus, AC Milan, Roma. Yeah, pretty much 100% domestic. I can't actually see. I know this isn't extensive. Oh, there's an Everton player there as well. I know it's not extensive because these books were done earlier before the squads were announced, but it is very domestic. 2-1 France.
B2 and France. Interesting. Yeah, I've been thinking the exact same. I think with France, I can't see them losing any game, to be honest. I'm looking at Italy. The Italian league, it doesn't strike me as a very competitive league compared to like the WSL, for instance, or I even think the French league is quite competitive with PSG and Lyon. But you look at the Italian league, and Juventus formed in 2017 and already on the 5th title. Yeah. So that really strikes to me that it's a bit like Juventus dominance into that league. So yeah. You're looking at the booking itself, and the majority of them are either Roma or Juventus. There's the odd AC Milan player, there's the odd Fiorentina player. I've been looking at Italy in itself. They haven't been too bad in terms of how they've played. They've got a 7-0 win against Lithuania, but the rest of the games they have played, they've been quite narrow. 1-0 against Switzerland, 1-0 against Denmark, 2-1 against Norway, lost on penalties to Sweden. So perhaps maybe their defence isn't too bad. It's just more of their attacking play, because they don't really seem to score them goals against the more competitive sides. Whereas with France, I think they do probably have one of the best defences there in Wendy Renard, for instance, but they are losing out on such good players, which could potentially bite them. I don't think it'll bite them in the groups, but I think it'll bite them once they go into the knockout stages. But for me, I've gone for the same as Andy. I've gone for a 2-1 win for France. I can just see France getting a narrow win, to be honest. We'll go now on to the next game, which is Italy versus Iceland. Who's the game I'm going to? Italy versus Iceland. They have played twice against each other. One was pretty recent. Italy won 1-0, but a couple of days after, they played again, and it was a 1-1 draw. So that strikes to me that both of them really haven't got that massive attacking play, but the defense isn't as bad. Just the same as Italy, to be honest, and Iceland. I feel like this game is going to be so narrow. But for this one, I actually think it is going to be a draw, and I am actually going for a very boring 0-0 draw. I actually don't think there is going to be any goals in it at all, and if there is, it's not going to be many. So I'm going to go for a 0-0. I'll go with you, Andy, on what you think it's going to be.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, I still think that maybe this is the chance for Italy to actually wrap the goal difference up to have a go to get that second place, especially if we're saying that they're going to hold their own against France. I think, to be honest, I know you might want your 0-0, but I reckon you're gonna be ringing us up and talking about a great game with lots of goals. Actually, I see it differently. I think, you know, one of the benefits of them all playing domestic, I suppose you've got the sort of easier way to bond. It's the same kind of, you know, roughly the same kind of play if you play in the same league. You know, I mean, obviously, if we're saying they would have lost game 1, they're going to need to win game 2. I would say, what were those X scores again? Sorry, that they played. What was they played each other?
It was a 1-1 to a 1-1 draw and a 1-0 to Italy, and they were both played within a week or two of each other. And it was last year, actually. I'm thinking we're still in 21, but it's in 21.
I would say, I think there's going to be more goals in it, because at the end of the day, if you lose 2 games in a 3-game tournament, you're out, irrespective of what happens. So there is going to be an element of, even if Italy are winning and Iceland are, looking down the barrel of elimination, even if you would expect them to be eliminated, I would say that they then leave massive gaps for Italy to do well. I'm actually saying 4-0 Italy.
Interesting.
Because I think they could use it as a confidence booster. Because I think any manager with half a brain is going to say, look, top two go through, take your pressure off yourself. France has got the top of the group. True or not, you can just say that. Right now it's a free game league a little bit, if you think about it, for the runner-up spot. Us, Belgium, and and obviously Iceland. You would use the fact that there's been tighter games previously. Belgium in that bad form. I'd say to Italy, look, this is yours for the taking, and focus on that. And if I was Belgium, I'd be saying the same. Iceland, I just don't know the level. Maybe they kind of smell a little bit better than Northern Ireland to me. They kind of smell like the sort of last but one worst team in the tournament. So again, they might just be happy to be there. But yeah, I think actually it's going to be it's a freeway shootout for that second spot, and I think that Italy could take the bull by the horns a little bit, because apart from anyone else, they're in the shot window. Like, Italy's league is developing and all that, and the teams are getting better, but they're not there yet. Some people might like a nice move to the WSL or another strong league, and they're open. They're open. So I think that Italy will get an early goal. Iceland will then realise they're going to be out if they don't win this, and then they'll have more holes than Swiss cheese, and then Italy will capitalise. And I'm probably completely wrong, but we'll find out.
I'll let you know. Chloe, what are you going for?
I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a very tactical one as well for both sides. I think in terms of, like we were saying about Italy against France, Belgium against Iceland, both teams could come off a draw, could come off a win, could come off a loss. And they're both going to fight for the positions, because whoever is runners-up in this group plays the winners of Group C at the Sports Village. So this is going to be This is going to be probably the decider of the the group. So, and I think Italy's got a more stronger forward setup than Iceland, and I also think they've got a more stronger defence. But is that just because I know a bit more about Italy than I do Iceland? Maybe. But I think Italy will know that they have to win this game. They'll have to be the best that they can be. And Iceland will just want to be pulling off shots throughout this tournament. They'll be wanting to beat the likes of Belgium, Italy and France. They'll be wanting to do that. They'll be wanting to cause upsets. And I don't think we've ever seen a tournament that hasn't caused upsets.
Mm-hmm.
Especially within groups, you're going to have them upsets. And upsets could be draws, they could be losses. There could be shot goals as well. Like from players you don't think, from teams you don't think. And I think like a lot of people in the comments are saying, like, Iceland could be the dark horses of this game, of this group. And for me, I think Italy will come out the stronger side. But can I see it going to be a clean sheet? I don't think it will be. I think Iceland will get a goal, especially that VAR is involved, because we forget about that at the minute, because we rarely hear about it, and we rarely hear how it's going to be set up for all the games and how it's going to be worked in all the games as well. So for me, I think Italy's going to win, and I think it's going to be a 4-1 Italy.
Oh, so we're just wanting you to have a good time, Maisy. That's all it is. We're just willing you to have a great time. Lots of goals. We don't want you sort of snoring on the corner flag in the stadium.
I might be snoring based off the venue. Never mind anything else. If anyone's wondering what the venue is, Google it. Ravi's question: in this group, which team plays the most exciting football? It'd have to be France by a mile, to be honest.
Yeah, it has to be.
France.
Yeah. I like coffee. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Go Portugal. Yep, go Portugal. Vincent, here's your wave. He said, what about red cards, Chloe? We haven't actually touched at all on red cards. Do you think there might be a few controversial red cards, Chloe?
I actually do, especially through VAR, because VAR is one of them that it's going to be new in the women's tournament. It's going to be new for a lot of the women's teams and a lot of the women's players. That the refs aren't going to know what to give, so they're going to go to VAR. They're going to go and watch the monitor, and they're going to judge it. So I think not just in this group, but I think, and not just in the group stages, I think throughout the whole tournament, there is going to be red cards, and not just like second yellows. I think there will be the occasional straight red, and I think if you get a straight, I think if you're getting a straight red,
you have to murder somebody in the women's game to get a straight red, because girls aren't violent. That's just bullshit. I agree, but I'm just saying that that's the view, isn't it? But carry on, Chloe.
I think the only straight red that you'll probably get is through VAR, that maybe the ref has missed, but the VAR was spotted through like the last player on side, or that kind of way, because that is the only way you get a straight red is if that last defender will take down the last forward on an open goal. So there is going to be potential red cards, but I don't know how many.
What about you, Andy? Do you think the same?
Do you know who's doing VAR for UK?
Oh, don't even ask us.
You men fans might know who this person is. Apparently, he's a local, Chris Kavanagh.
Oh.
From Ashton-under-Lyne, apparently, according to
Google.
Dear. So, local boy makes good.
Dear.
Doesn't have to travel and sleep in his own bed if he gets this as an option. Apparently, he's a Prem referee. Maisy's face tells me that you might not be particularly good. Is there any particular things?
There's no good Premier League ref at all in the Premier League. There's no good ref.
There's no good ref.
They all need sacking. Every single one of them needs sacking.
They're all better than the WSL refs.
I like Coffee was thinking what I was thinking. I was even thinking Mike Dean, but then I thought, he's retired. But then I was thinking, you're going to say Michael Oliver. You're going to say Michael Oliver.
No, it should be, because his wife is a WSL ref.
Yeah.
But no, it's Chris Kavanagh, apparently, who's the representative. Now, I'm not saying he's got the match, but I'm assuming that's going to follow the pattern. So I'm assuming whoever, say it's a Spanish crew, it'll be like a La Liga VAR ref, won't it? Because they don't have it in the Femadora. It'll be the men's La Liga ref. They'll probably have on VAR. So I have a bit more hope on VAR, maybe because I am a women's fan only, so I don't have much exposure to it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a very experienced VAR ref. So it depends whether or not the VAR refs are going to step back and let these people in the middle fall on the proverbial, let them make the decision, or whether or not they're going to help them out. I think a straight red, I think normally in tournaments, they have like themes, don't they? That they like to sort of lock on. Some of them can be a bit random. I remember the whole when VAR was first introduced about goalkeepers not jumping off the line on a penalty. They went OTT on that, had to dial it back. Be interesting to see what they focus on. I agree. I think that you could get straight reds in the women's game because people aren't used to VAR. There's nowhere to hide. It just depends on whether or not they're going to do the scenario where, it grazes the sort of fingernail of a player and that's a handball, or if they're going to do a situation where, it's a bit more realistic in that regard. I think I didn't see the game earlier because I was at work, but I think it sounds like Georgia Stanway needs to sit down and be told over and over again on loop that you're going to have VAR, my dear, and you could lose you know, you could end up with us going down to 10 players. But I think, I think we could have. Well, I say that we could have, but then obviously, Chloe, we had VAR for the quarterfinals onwards from the Champions League, and I don't think we had a red, did we?
No, I don't think we did. But I think the VAR had only. I think it was throughout the whole tournament in the Champions League. So a lot of teams will know, especially like the Italians and the French will all know about VAR, especially who have played in the Women's Champions League. They will know. It's not like it's nothing new. All teams are going to know about VAR. They're going to have been taught it. They're going to have been told about it. And it's like we said on the referees, like, yeah, the VAR refs are going to be experienced, but the referees aren't. I think there's only a few referees that are experienced for the tournament in doing other tournaments, such as the Women's World Cups and Men's World Cups and Euros. I think it's going to be that way. But I know
I keep mentioning it, and it's only because it winds you up a little bit, but it was all true. The penalty decision, Barca Real, was Rebecca Welsh the ref for that?
No,
one of the England match. She did ref one of the quarters or semis in the Champions League.
I don't think she did. I don't think she did the Real Madrid Barca match. I don't think she did.
She'll have experience. But to be honest, what I would be doing, especially, I mean, we're in the tournament, are we, from next Wednesday, so they won't be allowed to. But I would hope that the FA would have already done this. I would get. I'm not a fan. I've just learned who he is. I'd get Chris Kavanagh to speak to the Lionesses, before the tournament starts, saying, as a VAR ref, this is what I look for. This is the kind of thing, which is perfectly fine. That's what they do for training matches and stuff. And I'd get them to speak to them and say, look, this is what we're doing. I mean, you have seen it. It has changed the game a little bit because you see a lot of defenders now that defend with their hands behind their back when they're in the box and stuff like that. But it should definitely be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we move on, Chloe, what else did you want to say on VAR?
I think, like with VAR, I think what I've seen, like what I've read when we knew VAR was coming into the tournament, I think all teams had to be shown what to do with VAR and how it's going to work. And like we said about, like, we know as watching the men's teams, like, how stupid decisions can be with offsides, with handballs, and they're going to be told the exact same. It's not going to change just because it's the women's game. If your shoulder's offside, you're going to be offside. If your toes offside, you're going to be offside. So they're all going to be told about what it is. But it's going to be interesting to see how it works in the women's game and to see if it's going to be brought in for the WSL, for the Italian league, the French league, the Spanish league, because with it being brought into the Champions League, you would think it's going to be being brought into the leagues now. But it's one of them, like, you can't not have been told what to do with the VAR and how it's going to work for all the teams. So it's going to be interesting. But I think VAR is going to be good to have in the league, in the tournament. But it's also going to be stressful for the fans. It's going to be stressful for us at the ground because having the screen at the stadiums, we'll be able to see what the decisions are and see the replays. But it's the stadiums that don't have the video, like the
Milton Keynes one, for instance, isn't it? Won't have the VAR.
Yeah, because they won't.
Only Sport Village.
Yeah, I think all stadiums do have VAR, but it's the screens. Like Old Trafford don't have a screen for us to watch as fans for VAR. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to develop them kind of things for all the games.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because my first experience of VAR in stadium was Friday, because I was at Ellen Road with England, Holland, and I did wonder what would happen because obviously the VAR check and the penalty was given, but I was just distracted. I was just happy I got it right. So I saw that and I was like, that's a penalty. And then when she didn't give it, they were like, they're going to check that. And it was given. I was like, oh, this refereeing lark's easy. No wonder I go back on refs. You know, me and Chloe were right at the top of the sort of lower bank of seats. And I saw it a mile off. It was a Stonewall penalty. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a doddle. I can do this. No issues whatsoever. So I don't know if that would be most people's reactions, but I was just like, yeah, I got it right, even though it was against us. But I must admit, like, I don't know if it'll be the case for the Euros because that was a friendly, but it was just a bit random. The sort of normal screen just went black, said VAR check in like white letters, and then it was just given, you know. So that's sort of, and it's like they could do with a bit more, like,
That's all you get on the screens. It's
that's all you've ever had. And then they say checking, or they go no goal given, or no red given, or something like that.
They didn't even do that, did they? They did VAR check, but then she looked on the monitor and then she did the whistle and the pointed for the spot. They didn't actually say on the screen like penalty given or something like that. They probably will for the main tournament. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And it just as a side point on that, interesting technique from Mary Earps as well on the Friday game. Because obviously, I don't know if she got a touch to it, but it hit the post, so the penalty was missed. But what I noticed that was really interesting is obviously the requirement is for the goalkeeper not to leave the line before the ball.
Yes, they've got to be behind the line now for penalties.
Before the ball was, because they can't be over the line before the ball is kicked. So I like the idea that she was basically in the goal. She was inside the goal. So when a natural movement went forward, she was on the line and she was very, very close. And if it hadn't hit the post, it would have hit her hand. Like, she literally would have saved it. So that's an interesting technique. And again, reassuring for Mary, because again, I don't want to get at these smaller goalkeepers, but she's got quite a big reach. Not the biggest, obviously. Luckily, she's Chilean, so she won't be in this tournament. But I think 6'1" Leon, Chilean keeper, comes to mind. And you notice the difference when she, sort of stretches because she covers it quite easily. But that was an interesting technique that I noticed, and it'd be interesting to see because you know what England is like. At some point, there will be a penalty shootout, and what will we be like involved in that?
Yeah, definitely. We'll go through a couple more of the comments and then we'll get back to our predictions. Reese is in the chat. Hey there, Reese. VAR working properly. Is April Fools? Very true. That is what VAR is like nowadays. Very good point there by Chloe regarding the screens. It certainly was. Chris is in the chat. Hey there to Chris. Iceland to win the group. You've heard it first. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Andrew, get Jill Scott in goals. She's 8'2".
I don't know how tall she is actually. Because
she's pretty tall actually, isn't she, Jill Scott?
Yeah.
I'll have a look now. I know she's like 105 in age. Let's have a look. Yeah, she's she. What the hell's 1.81? Does Google not know it's Google UK? What the hell's 1.81 meters in bloody what we understand?
And that is 5'9".
5'9".
She's not taller than 5'9" though.
Yeah, that's
a lot taller.
Yeah, she really does. But let's go back onto our predictions anyway. We'll go now. France versus Belgium. I'll go with you first, Andy. And before you do your score prediction, just to let you know, France has only ever played once against Belgium, and Belgium won 2-0.
Yeah, but was that like before you were born, or was it like 2 years ago? It makes a big difference in relation to, So when was that?
It was a few years ago. But
was
I
it?
don't.
Yeah, that was a curveball. So what you're saying is that you're trying to help Chloe now. I don't know. You've been neutral. Go. When was it? Have you got it on the?
I don't have actually a date to be honest. I've just seen the stats.
Right. Okay. Again, it's difficult because it's a third game, so the die might be cast. You would assume.
Oh, I actually do have it. Sorry, it's 2017.
Okay, so actually that's an interesting year. So not yesterday, but not like 10 years ago. So it's an interesting point. What was the score again? Sorry,
2-0 to Belgium.
2-0 to Belgium. Oh, But then it's so much fun, isn't it? Because, like, who would have thought, all right, it was a friendly, who would have thought that England would have demolished the reigning European champions like we did on Friday?
Exactly.
So it's such a hard thing to work out. All day long, one eye closed, all day long, you would say France will win this. But, you know, if they haven't really played, Belgium's beaten it in the past, but then I would say that France will win, and I will say they will win 2-1, so a reverse score to what happened last time they met in 2017.
What about you, Chloe?
This is where she brings out the biographies of 5 French players and tells me a great analyst, and then says we were great with the correct answer. So I look forward to it.
So with it being it's the second game of the group for both teams now.
I was right. Okay, I'm out of sync there. I thought it was the final one.
No, it's the second one. It's the one we're going to in Rotherham.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to see it in person and how it's going to be played. So I think it was interesting to hear when they played that France lost, and it was in 2017, which was also the year of the previous Euros. So was the game before or after the Euros, Maisy, in 2017?
It was
Maisy
in July.
Was it in July?
Yeah.
So potentially this could have been part of the Euros. So it could have been, or it could have been in the tournament. So they've already played against each other in the tournament, potentially. Or it could have been a friendly before the tournament started. So I think, for me, like I said before, I think France has grown immensely. I think it's grown incredible. I think the players that they have are really good. Obviously, the likes of Henry and Nisselmayer that we touched on earlier are missing. And I think they're going to be the key players that are going to be missing. But for me, I think Belgium, who are an upcoming team, I think they've still got more work to do in terms of their league, in terms of their international team.
Yeah.
So I can't see it being a clean sheet for both teams, but I can't see it being a win for Belgium. I think it's going to be. What did you say, Andy? Your score prediction?
I reversed
He's
the
on
score.
for a 2-1.
A 2-1.
That is a reverse score, isn't it? From
yeah,
I reversed the score.
So I'm going to go for a 4-1 France.
Wow. Okay, so I actually think that it's going to be so tight, and I've gone for a 1-1. I think this is the game, knowing that France, even though they've only played one game, they've not had a brilliant game against Belgium. Whereas Belgium, I don't think, I'm not overly convinced by them, if you want me to be honest either. And I think knowing that what I've predicted with Belgium losing against Iceland, I think that they are going to put the best efforts, knowing it's their second game, to try and get a point or 3 out of this. So I've gone for a 1-1 for France versus Belgium. I've gone for a few draws in this tournament, but I just think that Belgium are going to really put a strong team out. I think they're going to play quite defensive, perhaps maybe even park the bus to try and get at least a point from France, to be honest. We'll go on to him, which was a good question. It was from Andrew, player of the tournament and top goal scorer predictions. We'll go with you, Andy, and what you think first.
It's funny, my first reaction sometimes is quite the helpful on these kind of things, and I think they might be 2 separate people. Maybe that maybe one might not follow the other. I mean, obviously, Devil's Rising is mentioned there, but Ada Hedenberg could, the redemption stories there, the ACL coming back, she could be top scorer, definitely. Player of the tournament, it just depends who gets enough game time.
And it depends where each team finishes.
It does. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to, no disrespect, but I'm not going to be naming anybody who's Northern Irish because I'll be watching it on the sofa from the quarterfinals. They just will be. We'll just cut the sort of politeness, but that's great. They'll have their own little badges and stuff from the time at the Euros. I know, not the best people. Hopefully, there's no Northern Ireland fans in the chat. There is a Liverpool fan, and obviously their captain's Northern Irish. But anyway, maybe that's where that came from.
Let's just not talk about that.
Edinburgh top goal scorer, player of the tournament, Beth Mead.
Interesting. Very good prediction, that. What about you, Chloe?
Rubbish. We'll find out. Chloe's going to go Spanish for at least one of those people.
Of course.
Can you say that?
It's almost like we're really good friends, isn't it?
I think top goal scorer, I've got two in mind. Obviously, with the way that it'll work through who play each other in the tournament through quarters and semis. I think I'll say my two. I'll say Anna Hegenberg because, like we said, the comeback she's bringing and the way she's only played half of the season for Lyon, but half the season she's been outstanding for him, and Norway have got her back. And this is for me. This is her tournament. She came back from ACL. She's won the Champions League. She weren't in the squad at the time, and now she's back in a Norway squad. She wants to win this match. She wants to win this tournament. She wants to prove to Norway that she's back. She's here. She's the best she can be. But my other one is actually a French player for top goal scorer, and it's Kato, who is PSG. I think we mentioned before, and I think she's going to be a very good player for us tournament. So them for me are my two top goal scorers, and I think my top two for player of the tournaments is one's going to be obviously Alexa, because I can't see her not being one of the best in the squad in the tournament. Within the game, and I think another one is going to be Ella Toon for me as player of the tournament, or even young player of the tournament. So for me, it's them four.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, I've gone for a Hegerberg to have the top goal scorer. I do actually think though the player of the season. Of the tournament, is either going to go to Spain or England. And if I was going to pick out of England, I think that it's actually going to be, I think it might be Chloe Keller. There's something I really like about Chloe Keller, and I don't like raving too much about Man City players, but I think she's very, very special, and when she comes on, she really makes a difference, and you can tell the difference between England when she's not playing and the England when she is playing. I think we'll play miles better with her. And another one what I was going to go for with France, I think with France, I think that perhaps maybe Anna Battel might get player of the season for a player of the tournament potentially, just because I think that she will be brilliant with her tackles or going forwards. I think she might get a couple of assists there as well. So then for me, I think it's going to be potential ones.
It's funny though, because I think we've both gone for Hedenberg, but Norway couldn't get knocked out. She's just one player. So you have to really be in the semis or the finals to get to the tournament. So it's one of those. We'll sort of lock them in a little bit in our sort of bonus round here, but maybe Beth Mead, because hopefully she'll go all the way or at least go to the semis.
Yeah. Hello, Matata. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you. Reese hoping England will lose in the groups. It's not going to happen, Reese. Is it, Ander?
Oh, these Scottish people! You've got to love it, haven't you? Because you see, we've been through these predictions, and one country you've not really mentioned is Scotland because they're not in the tournament. So there is kind of just a requirement to actually qualify. Now, obviously, when they qualify,
they could potentially qualify if there was the highest ranking team. That's the only way they can get in.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we could also qualify if it was Muk Patelis instead of Alexi Patelis, but she's Spanish at the end of the day. So it depends how far you want to go on this. I mean, we've discussed, I think, on other platforms that this sort of like weird highest ranking thing, you might as well work out how many players are left-footed. Like, it's just a random thing that came up. What do you want to do? Scotland's got more blonde players than brunettes, so they deserve to play, or vice versa. Like, I think it's absolutely obvious based on the sort of president. You're really doing all arguments here, but based on the president of, obviously in the men's, famously with Denmark in the early 90s when they came back because they were the team that lost against Yugoslavia, they got thrown out. If a team was playing and there was a violation, as in a drugs doping violation or violation of this other team, they would not normally get through. If they ineligible players, they've already got through. But for some reason in WOSO, and it wasn't mainly you, it was Tanu and other people, it was like, why do we have
it was a Tanu. It was no one else.
Ranking team. Why do you do an X Factor show alongside it? And you can sort of like, or maybe like mix it with The Voice, and you can get like the head of FIFA to press a button and spin round and say, "We choose you" while you're there.
Oh my! That show was hilarious, and I think you might just have to clip it.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you, no. Viva la Portugal! You're not wearing your polo shirt, but obviously I'm aware that you own one, and Portugal are in the right place, and Scotland can have a go at qualifying for the World Cup. So we'll see them.
Yeah. But before we move on, Risa said any Swedish choices for contenders. What do you think, Chloe?
I would say, let me get to the Swedish page in the sticker book. I think for me, potentially Golden Glove for the keeper in that aspect, because I know obviously we've not touched on, like, because there's many awards. There's Golden Glove, there's Player of the Tournament, there's Young Player of the Tournament, there's Golden Boot. So I think in that terms is, for me, Lindahl, if she starts for Sweden, she could be Golden Glove. But in terms of like top goal scorer and Player of the Tournament, maybe Aslani for top goal scorer, because she is a threat in the box, and she's a midfielder, but can score and did play up front for Real Madrid. So I think for me, Aslani in top goal scorer.
Stina Blackstenius is an option as well, but obviously she's an Arsenal player, and we're all still salty that she turned us down. I mean, why would you turn down the guru that is Mark Skinner? I talked about Mark Skinner.
That's Champion of the Tournament.
Little segue there, Andrew. No, I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to sidetrack the whole thing, right? I've spoken to Mark Skinner. I've heard him talk to other people. He's like, I've called him an unreliable boyfriend in the last season when we were doing United, and he's really, really annoying because I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he knows what he's doing either. But I actually think he is a nice guy, and he is actually really sweet. When you see him with little kids, and with his kid on his child, I saw an image with, I think it was him and Laura Bassett before the Old Trafford game, and he had his daughter on his shoulders. And I think he is a really, really nice guy. So I wouldn't actually say Chav of the tournament. I would say, hopefully he'll be there, next to, in the same building, maybe, recording and quickly writing down how to be a coach from Serena Weigman and take some great skills back for United this next season. But no, not Chav of the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Martin. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. We'll go on to the next game now, which is Iceland versus France. Iceland versus France, they've only played once against each other. France was a dominant 4-0. I can't see anything past that, to be honest. They did have a game cancelled last year as well. So I think it's going to be a very strong, dominant game for France. I think they'll want to finish on a high. So I'm going to go for a 5-0 for France. What about you, Chloe? What are you going for?
I was actually going to go with the same as you, Maisy. I think a 5-0 win for France. I think they're just, for me, they're the dominant, like they're the top team in this group, like I said before. And I can't see Iceland even having a potential shot on target. So I think it's just going to be dominated by France this whole match. So yeah, 5-0 win for me as well for France.
Mm-hmm. And what are you going for, Andy?
I think this game, I think we're going to need one of these. I think we're going to need a calculator. I think it's going to be a really heavy scoring game, obviously for France. You've both gone for 5-0. It just depends, doesn't it? Because again, this will actually be, unlike earlier, the final game of the group for France. You know, are they want to be looking to rotate a little bit, ready for the quarters? They should be pretty nailed on as group winners. Yeah, I mean, I'd be tempted to go higher than what you guys are doing, but now I'll go 4-0.
4-0. Okay, that's fine. And we'll go on to the last game now, which is Italy versus Belgium. Before I do go to you, Chloe.
Yep.
Italy and Belgium have never played against each other.
Right, that is interesting. So that for me, that's obviously like Belgium, Iceland have played against each other neither. So to me, Belgium have got two games there where they haven't played against two teams in the group, and the only one they're familiar with is France. So this is going to be a test for both teams. But I think Italy are just going to come out on top. I think they've got a stronger forward line, a stronger setup. And for me, I think their keeper is more. She's more. For me, she's more like she's played since she was. She debuted in 2011 for Italy, and that's Katia.
Yeah, she plays for Fiorentina.
Yeah, she's played since 2011, so this potentially could be her last tournament. She might play in the World Cup next year if Italy qualify. So, for me, I can see this being a high score.
Okay.
But can I see it being a clean sheet? I don't know. So, I think it's going to be 4-1 Italy.
And what about you, Andy?
Well, I mean, firstly, this is the game. Well, we're all going to be at Old Trafford technically as well, but we won't be next to each other. But this is the one where all three of us will be watching it together. So hopefully it'll be a good game. Again, I can't see past Italy as much as maybe I've seen situations where they might not. You know, I think especially if I think this game might be winner goes through. Essentially, as runners up. So it just depends on whether or not you've got the big name players or the big game players. And I'd say both are pretty equal. Domestic leagues, not that strong in the domestic leagues. You know, a couple of players that have WSL experience. 2-0 Italy.
2-0 Italy. Okay, so I think the same as Chloe. I don't think it's going to be a clean sheet. I think that both for Belgium and Italy, I think they're both going to underestimate each team. And knowing what I've predicted for Belgium, I think it's going to be, again, they want to try the best to get a goal. Whereas with Italy, they do have some good forward players in there who have won the league, who are finishing second in the league. So I actually think Italy's going to win, but I think it's going to go for a 3-1, in my opinion, for Italy. So Reese has gone 7-0 for France in the previous game. Italy, Belgium 4-3. Hey there to Stephen. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Red Devil Studio. Hey there. I hope you're well. Not seen you here for a while. Hope you're keeping well. So we'll go on to our table predictions now, which I'll go with you first, Andy.
I think I think it has to be, and unfortunately, it's one of those where it'd be great to see something different, but it's just clear to me. I think it's going to be France, Italy, Belgium, Iceland.
Okay, Chloe, what are you going for?
I'm going with the exact same. I think France, Italy, Belgium, Iceland, because I think in the way that France is going to dominate the games, and I think they're going to win at least 2 out of the 3 games. I can see that, and the team that one of the teams that I would like to see is it obviously, and we are doing, is Italy. But knowing that they're going to face, if they come second, they'll face the winners of Group C, which could be Holland, for example, at the Sports Village. So I think for me, France, Italy, Belgium, Iceland.
Interesting. Either I've just become extremely delusional, or I have been a complete genius, but I have gone completely different in terms of my table prediction. I've gone for France to win. Based off the points I had, I've got Iceland to finish second. I can see both your faces and you're like, Maisy, what have you done? But
Maisy, look. So there's some nice Iceland guys. I'm sure they might come across this video. It's clear that you're putting your skill out early.
Well, maybe so. I might find a nice Iceland guy. Who knows? You know what I mean? Yeah.
You need an Iceland shirt, Maisy.
No. No, I've gone for ice, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'll do that for the whole game. I'll see some of my mates, but Iceland to finish second, Italy third, Belgium fourth, because I have no optimism in Belgium. I know that you both are thinking, Maisy, what are you doing? But I've either become a complete genius or I've been completely delusional.
Well, to be honest, I think it's a men's influence because, a couple of tournaments, I think in the men's, they did go far or go further than you would expect. So maybe it is that kind of plucky underdog. But, as I was mentioning, that Northern Ireland will be on the sofa. Well, Iceland will be I don't know, chilling out.
Well, at least they can have they can chill about on the sofa. Do you know what I mean? They're all nice and comfortable. I wouldn't be comfortable hot, sweating my head off in Northern Ireland. Do you know what I mean? At least in Ireland's a bit cooler. Iceland, it's a bit cooler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tenuous, isn't it? But go on.
No, Ravet. No. I am not getting an Iceland shirt.
Hey,
no.
If you start wearing blue, Skinner will think you're a Birmingham fan and really love you.
I've already got some blue football tops. I won't wear them there, Skinner. Before we wrap up, we'll do our guaranteed goal scorer. Chloe, will go with you.
I've mentioned it before, Kato.
Kato. Yeah, I've gone for the same, Kato. What about you, Andy?
That was pretty much the only one I knew to name straight off as well, which is really annoying. I don't know. Let me think. So, guaranteed scorer. She's not an attacker, but she does have a habit of getting on the score sheet. So maybe I'll actually go a bit random, and I'd go Wendy Renard.
Oh, Renard. Okay.
So she's a good threat for set pieces. Okay,
great. Yep, perfect. So we've got all that sealed in. Nobody is able to change that now. Before we wrap up, and we'll answer Red Devil Studios' question, who is the favourite to win the Euros? Spain for me, probably.
Spain.
Do you all agree?
No, I disagree. I say England now. after what happened on Friday. Now, I know it's coming home and all that crap. I know that people get very, very stressed about it, but we've actually got a coach who knows how to coach and a manager who knows how to manage.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they're the same person for once. So, she's a winner as a player. She's a winner as, as a manager, I believe, as well. I actually think we could do it. And I would have said Spain, but Spain have, for some reason, got rid of Hermoso, which I know I said that I would have done the same. So hands up in relation to the, not being ready for injury. But Chloe will be able to name drop the person. But there's another player who's basically got one leg that they've carried on with. Who's the one with it that's very injured, who's still in the squad.
So, yeah, I'll jump in on that. Selma, but she's actually now been dropped. She's actually now not going to the tournament. They're bringing someone that they had previously dropped out of the 23.
Right.
So, I think it's Amoro. I don't know if you could get it up, Maisy, for the Spanish team, the updated squad. I think she plays for Real Madrid. But yes, Selma's she had like something in her leg, and she had only participated in 5 out of the 12 training sessions throughout the whole time that they were there, whereas Jenny hadn't participated in any but got dropped like that. She hadn't even been allowed to be assessed, been allowed to train separately like a few of the other players had. So for me, I don't get why she was dropped.
What position does she play?
Forward.
So just to link with that while Maisy's doing that, and also I get the impression that Jorge Vilda isn't exactly the world's most popular guy in Spain at the moment, and he's just had his contract renewed to 2024. So if everybody closes our eyes and we imagine a dystopian, horrible future where God's gift to women's football, Phil Neville, got a contract extension, and how annoyed you'd be at that, and how wondering how the heck that's going to work. That's, I think, the equivalent. So I reckon actually that Spain's a bit unstable in this camp. I mean, they could get it together. They've got some great players. So I think based on that, I think maybe sort of silver bronze position kind of thing. And actually, I would say it could be between England and somebody relatively a bit more stable, like Sweden. I would as well, and the dark horses of the tournament probably could be somebody random like Germany, because they always perform. They have the tournament mentality, just generally as a sort of culture. I know that their team isn't the strongest it's been in the past, but if you look at the history of the Euros or who's won the Euros, the German badge comes up a heck of a lot.
I'll just jump in now that. It looks like the Euros website hasn't got updated yet, so what I'll do is I'll send Maisy over the link of who it's been, and then she can add it to her tweet in following this. But yeah, I think it is someone who plays for Real Madrid. Is it Amaro? I don't know if she's actually in the book. Let me have a look. One sec. Oh yeah, she's in the Spanish. She's in the Euros book actually. It's Amaro Ziriga. She's a forward.
Oh yeah.
She plays for Real Sociedad. So she's replacing Samina after getting dropped the first time. So I think it's one of them. I think for me, if you're getting dropped the first time and then now you're being brought in because a player's been injured, you in your head you're thinking, why was I not already in? Why has that player not been dropped like they dropped Jenny? So I can see where the Spanish fans are coming from in terms of their tweets in regard to how Vilda's been picking his teams, because they've dropped a couple of the players that people thought should have been in the squad. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they play without Jenny and how much they don't have that leader up front and that goal scoring machine up front as well. So it's gonna be interesting, and potentially this could all change the group with not having Jenny in the squad. It could all change. It could all change how Group B is now.
I agree completely with Chloe, and she's got
I agree as well.
knowledge, and I think you got to show the sort of 4 shows we've done. It shows, the amazing breadth of knowledge. But you love Jenny Hermoso, so it's almost like talking to Jenny Hermoso's agent. To be honest, I do. I agree, but I think, I don't know. I don't know.
I can see him still going through, but I don't think I can see him as winners anymore.
Just a way, unless it could be possible that Alexi could take it the scuff of the neck, and get everybody in camp. Euro starts next week. Everyone's in camp. People can switch off the outside world. It's a tournament. It's weird because internationally, some of the managers haven't got much of a pedigree. Barcelona's manager is essentially an internal hire, made good, gone from the academy. Lyon's manager that won the Champions League, again similar, played with the French academy. It is weird. And Jorge Vilda, again, I don't think he's had a particular long history of won this, that, and the other before he got the Spanish job either. So it is hard to tell. But yeah, obviously picking up Ravi's question there. Who rated Phil Neville? I think Phil Neville rated Phil Neville. That was the only person who did, to be honest. Yeah,
very, very true. Very true. We'll wrap it up here anyway. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Chloe, for both coming on. I know that everyone was a little bit tired today because we all finished a little bit later, but than planned. But we nailed through it. And thank you both for coming on doing these group predictions. It's been brilliant. Andy, would you like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, I love it when I get controversial. It's like, this is where you can tap me on Twitter. No, it's not too bad, actually. Obviously, it's mainly now on with yourself on Devils, which I'm honoured to be on, and also my direct one there, which is at AJO_87. And
Chloe, where can we find you?
Thanks for having me on, Maisy. It's been a pleasure, like always. My socials is there, Chloe Riley 14 on Twitter.
Thank you so much for both of you coming on. I'll be next live myself. It will be on Saturday. You've both everyone's got a treat because I'll be live twice on Saturday. I'll be doing a player profile on Ethan Led, but this time it's with a Swansea fan. And I will be also doing my quiz with John Sinclair, so you can check that out. And John Sinclair will be back with me again on Sunday for a weekly transfer show. We're going to get signings, hopefully, everybody. Fingers crossed, we're going to get signings.
For both sides, actually, for the women's side.
Oh, yes. Because Lucy Garcia, hopefully.
Lucia Garcia.
Let's hope so.
We'll be scouting for Spain in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely will be. I'll be doing some watch-alongs as well during the Euro, so go and check them out as well. We've got 2 next week with the Netherlands, and also I'll be doing a Northern Ireland one. I don't know why I picked that one, but I just picked it. So you can check them both out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and also hit the like button. We'll see you all Saturday. It's a goodbye from now. Mm-hmm.